Ahoy folks, and welcome back to Broadside Gaming with me, Zug. So, we have a new updated Boltgun build for you for the Veteran. And first of all, if you want to see gameplay of this, please do check out the Thursday the 14th of November's live stream. I was playing this predominantly all evening. And let's just jump in and take a look at what we're using. So, we are using the Dueling Sword as our melee weapon, with damage, finesse, cleave damage, and penetration, lol, as our main modifiers, and mobility as our dump. And we are using, perk-wise, 25% damage to flak armored enemies, because it's the most prevalent armor type in the game, and 25% damage to maniacs. Now, we've switched this over from unyielding, because one of our channel members, Chief, made a very good point. We're not going to be doing much melee with unyielding targets, but we do want to be able to one-shot mutants, because they're mean. Now, why are we using the Mark II and not the Mark IV? As you'd think, the Mark IV is better because all of the heavy attacks are pinpoint straight to the face. But there is a reason. The Mark II has a much better and faster light attack combo. It doesn't have that staggering stop after 2 swings. So, what we're going to be using this for the majority of the time for is horde clearing. It is extremely accurate, so you'll be able to proc your blessings, but it also does allow us to still do the cleanup when we need it for maniacs. You just have to get used to the second swing being a little slash. But you will find the light attack pattern is just a lot faster. And that was my main problem with the Mark IV. You couldn't kill fast enough to really stop the horde from overwhelming you. But the Mark II kind of cleans that up. But again, use whatever mark you fancy. I'm not your mum, I'm not going to tell you what you have to do. Blessings-wise, we're going with Thrust and Uncanny Strike. Up to 20% strength based on the charge time your heavy attack stacks 3 times, and Uncanny Strikes, plus 24% rending on enemy weak spot hit for 3.5 seconds stacks 5 times. So there's ludicrous amounts of damage. As you can see, Thrust stacks up incredibly quickly on the Dueling Sword. So you don't even have to hold that heavy attack for much longer than you usually would. Just always try and aim for the face. That is what you are aiming for. So there we go, there's our melee weapon. And then next on to the ranged weapon, the Boltgun. So for the modifiers, we're going with damage, reload speed, collateral, and stability, and mobility is our dump. I've seen some people say reload speed should be your dump. No, never, not on the Boltgun. It's horrific if you dump out reload speed. As for our perks, we're going with flak armored enemies because it's the most prevalent armor type in the game, and unyielding, which is going to allow us to put a lot of damage onto most Ogrins and all monstrosities. And the only one we're not getting a huge amount of damage on is the Carapace Armored Crusher. But again, it doesn't really matter because our blessings are going to make up for that. As you can see, Crusher go bye-bye. Works even better if you actually manage to land every shot. So, what are we taking for the blessings? Well, we're taking Shattering Impact now. Pinning Fire wasn't doing what we needed it to do. So, we've switched over to Shattering Impact. Target receives 4 stacks of 2.5% brittleness on direct projectile hit. Debuff lasts for 5 seconds and can have a maximum stack of 16. Now, brittleness is just rending applied to the target. So rending is applied to you, brittleness is applied to the enemy. And also, applying brittleness to the enemy, your entire team can use that as well. They benefit from it being rended. And of course, we're taking Cavalcade, which gives us a 5% crit chance for every 10% of the magazine spent during continuous fire, stacking 5 times. What? So the more we fire, the more crit we're going to have. This seems to work a lot better than pinning fire. As we can have a quick look here. Because there are a few other blessings you can look at. Pinning fire, 5% strength for every enemy you stagger, stacks 5 times. But shattering impact just kind of tops it out, to be honest. I mean, there's fire frenzy as well, but it's... If you're not sure, I highly recommend testing out your own blessings and see which one you prefer. At the moment, I think shattering impact is the way to go. Now, for the curios. We're going with 2 plus 17% toughness curios with extra toughness, max health, and damage resistance gunners. These are both the same. And 1 max health curio with extra toughness, toughness regeneration speed, and damage resistance gunners. So the reason we're taking the toughness regeneration speed isn't actually to speed up the toughness regeneration. It is to increase the time, or decrease the time it takes for the toughness to actually start regenerating. We don't care how fast it regenerates, it's how fast it starts to regenerate, because there is a delay. And using one of these blessings, or perks, sorry, as a veteran, it kicks off all of our toughness generation faster. But we regenerate so much toughness passively, we don't care about the actual regeneration speed. That's why we haven't got it on all 3, because it's pointless. And of course, damage resistance gunners, just because gunners are scary. And without it, they do far too much damage still. But there we go. That is the loadout. And of course, don't forget, half the battle is looking good while you're doing it. And let's take a look at the talents. Now, these are going to look a bit weird. Let's start off here on the left first. We're taking a long shot. Deal up to 20% range-based damage bonus is reduced the nearer the target. And then we're taking Volley Adept. Plus 30% reload speed on elite and specialist enemy kill. So you're going to have to, and I was trying to learn this, and also we had our delightful member Chief in the live stream with us last night, constantly badgering me, is when you have a moment of downtime, you reload. Never empty your entire gun, you leave 1 shell in it and reload. And the reason we leave 1 shell in it is because of tactical reload. Reload speed, plus 25% reload speed if your weapon contains ammo. That is why we always try to leave at least 1 shot in the mag. And of course, 1 motion plus 25% weapon swap speed. There we go, I can actually speak again. So all 3 of those talents are there to basically nullify the jankiness of the bolter. As you can see, that is without killing an elite as well. And the swap speed is still quite slow, but with the increased speed of whatever the hell that talent was called. 1 motion, there we go. It is quite a bit faster. So always try to gauge it to have 1 shell left. And as you can see, after killing elites and specials, the reload speed is ridiculously fast. But do remember, every time you pull the trigger, you are using 2 shells. But there, as you can see, with those talents, it does get rid of the biggest drawbacks to the Boltgun. Now, onto the tree. We're taking Close Order Drill, up to 33% toughness damage reduction, the more allies in coherency. Confirmed Kill, replenish 10% toughness on elite or specialist enemy kill, and a further 20% toughness over 10 seconds. If we had an extra point, I would have liked to have taken Exhilarating Takedown, as it's working again properly. Stamina boost, meh. Into toughness boost, and then we're picking up the Crack Grenade, my favourite grenade. Yes, I understand what the Shredder Frag Grenade does, I still don't like it. We're taking the Crack Grenade. Into the health boost, and then picking up Grenade Tinkerer, improves your chosen grenade. Crack Grenade plus 50% damage, Frag Grenade 25% damage to radius, and Smoke Grenade, never use it. Then into Fire Team, into toughness damage reduction, picking up Demolition Stockpile so we don't have to fight everyone else for grenades. Going into Voice of Command, taking Duty and Honor. So Voice of Command, you shout and you heal your team's toughness and stagger everything within 9 meters. Voice of Command now also provides unit allies and coherence with 50% toughness for 15 seconds. This can exceed your maximum toughness. Now, if you look down at the blue bar, I'm sitting at 209. And when we use a voice of command, I'm sitting at 259. So this increases my maximum toughness for a short duration. Then into suppression dealt, and then we're going to be picking up range damage boost. Then precision strikes for 30% weak spot damage. This applies to both ranged and melee. So the dueling sword is getting a massive buff from this, and the bolt gun is getting quite a nice buff from this. Into fully loaded, and then picking up superiority complex, which gives us plus 15% base damage to elite enemies. Now at the moment I am trying out marksman. On ability use for 10 seconds, any weak spot hit gains 20% strength. So again, this is buffing the dueling sword massively, and it's also buffing the bolt gun. But there are a few things we can do. We can take this point out and another point somewhere else, and we can move them around, but I'll talk about that at the end. Then into the middle, we're taking for the Emperor. Your combat ability gives you and your allies incoherency plus 10% melee base damage and 10% range base damage for 5 seconds. Then we're taking tactical awareness. Combat ability cooldown reduced by 6 seconds on specialist enemy kill. You're a veteran. You're hunting specials and elites. That is basically your job. Iron Will, one of the best talents in the tree, plus 50% damage, reduced toughness damage if above 75% toughness. Now, you can actually keep this going quite easily with tactical uses of voice of command. But do remember, voice of command isn't just a buff, it is also a survival tool for staggering everything around you if you need to make a quick escape. And then we're going into toughness boost. Then we're going to bring it down for plus 20% damage to Ogryns and Monstrosities, an amazing talent here. And then rending strikes. Gives plus 10% rending to all weapons. Now, this does boost the dueling sword quite a bit and the bolt gun, but it is not 100% necessary. So I'm going to talk about these two talents in a moment. Focus target is our keystone. Gain focus target every 2 seconds, stacks 5 times. Tagging the enemy applies the focus target stacks to them, causing them to take 4% additional damage for each stack and resets your focus targets to 1. And then we're taking focused fire, which increases our stacks to 8. Now, I'm losing faith in redirect fire. I've been doing a lot of testing. The damage is negligible, to be honest. Target down, however, is useful. It does give us a nice chunk of toughness and stamina back. But we can use those 2 points somewhere else. So, if you want more defense, you can take out the point in marksman and rending strikes. You can put it in target down. And then you can also move the other point either into field improvisations to help your team, or into exhilarating takedown to basically buff yourself. So these 2 points are free floating. You just have to decide what you'd prefer to do with them. If you're going to get rid of any of them, I would suggest getting rid of marksman over rending, because the rending applies 100% of time to both your weapons. Actually, it applies to all of your weapons, including grenades. But if you are okay with losing that 20% strength every time you use voice command, as I said, field improvisations or into exhilarating takedown. Do try to avoid redirect fire. Oh, sorry. Please do try to avoid redirect fire. It just isn't that great. But this choice is completely up to you. I highly advise fiddling around with the tree and see what works best for you. So, what are the things we can do with this build? Well, we can deal with big groups of crushers. You can mag dump into them and you've pretty much cleared them out. You can also mag dump into bulwarks. 2 to 3 shots should get them to open their shield. It is a bit of a waste of ammo though. If you can, just use your crack grenade. And that gets rid of them quite nicely. Remember also, voice command does stagger. So if you are clever, well, I say clever, if you've practiced enough, you can stagger Ogryns into each other and kill 2 with 1 grenade. They do have to be on top of each other, though. But it is totally possible. As for the dueling sword, this can take out basically anything. With all of your buffs rolling, it's usually about 2 headshots to deal with crushers. Everything else, 1 or 2. It does give you quite a lot of movement as well. The dodge range on this weapon is quite large. Always try to dodge over blocking because you don't have that much stamina. But that doesn't mean you shouldn't block. Just dodging is the better option, but if you can't, obviously, block. That's about it, really. Just keep your voice of command up, keep your team pushing forward, and lay down all the covering fire you can. Now, I've said this in the other videos, it's usually on the Zealot video, but with the buffs to the Boltgun, you can now snipe targets with quite decent accuracy. Because the weapon doesn't bounce around like a greased puppy anymore. So with a little bit of practice with it, you can snipe with it. So don't feel like you can only engage in close to medium. That is where it shines, but that isn't its only effective range. And last but not least, I said this at the beginning, but with this build, do try to leave 1 shell in the gun, because it will increase your reload speed exponentially. But there you go, folks. It's the updated Boltgun build. I hope you like it. I really enjoy this build. It's one of my favourites at the moment. And I really, really do hope you guys enjoy it too. And if you do, please do like, subscribe, ring the bell for notifications. It really does help us out. And until the next video, take it easy. I'll see you later.